And welcome to Tucker Carlson Tonight. Millions of school children across America, and in fact around the world, skipped school today. They weren't playing hooky. They were instead participating in a coordinated left-wing political protest. It was called Climate Strike. So naturally, MSNBC was there to cheer them on.
New York City is the home base for these protests. School officials, public school officials, are allowing nearly 1 million students to cut classes.
Some of the signs, by the way, that I've seen so far for this rally are just absolutely fantastic.
Look, I am not in favor of encouraging people to skip class, but if there's a cause that isn't important, this is it. So good on you for going out there and telling people what really matters. Congratulations to you and those like you around the world.
Congratulations on skipping school. Throughout the day, news anchors assured their viewers that the strike was in fact being led by the kids. They were lying, of course. Like all activist movements, the climate strike was organized by cynical adults. Adults hoping to exploit children for political purposes, obviously. The other lie you heard today is that the strike was about the environment. It was not about the environment. The main goal of the protesters in this country, for example, was to implement Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez's Green New Deal. You'll remember from just a few months ago that the Green New Deal is not about the environment. In fact, Ocasio-Cortez's chief of staff conceded as much. We're quoting now, "We really think of it as a how do you change the entire economy thing," end quote. But that shouldn't surprise you. The environmental movement itself has all but given up on the environment. Don't believe it? Look around. Is our country cleaner than it was? No. It's dirtier, and it's more crowded, and it gets more of both of those things every year. The left doesn't care. They're cheering it on. Why? Because they want power. And in climate change, they found an emergency big enough to justify grabbing more power. In fact, taking control of everything. Don't believe it? Check out the manifesto of Youth Climate Strike. That's one of the groups leading today's strike. The document calls for, among other things, state-owned banks, single-payer health care, affordable housing, expanded rights for sexual minorities, etc. Now, you may agree with those political goals or you may disagree. But what do they have to do with the environment? Obviously, nothing. But whatever, full speed ahead. Bernie Sanders, among others, is now demanding that the United States begin admitting what he calls climate refugees into our country, maybe in your neighborhood. That would include everyone south of Miami or north of Buenos Aires. All of them now have a right to move here because climate. So what are the chances of something like that passing Congress, you ask? Well, right around zero. Congress will never pass a law allowing that. And so that means in order to get what they want, progressives will have to bypass Congress, not to mention voters themselves. And they'd like to do that. Watch as Colorado Senator Michael Bennet explains that the main thing in the way of his climate agenda is, yes, democracy.
I think this is a test that's not well understood by some of the candidates in the race and has not been well debated, is our democracy up to this task? And that is a really non-trivial question because...
I mean, it clearly isn't right now.
So far, we have not. We haven't been. And when you lose a national race, as we did in 16, to a climate denier, that creates a real concern.
Is our democracy up to the task? If you're even asking that question, you're missing the point, because democracy is the point. But damn democracy, says the left, it's standing in the way of us getting control of every detail of your life. We'll have to do something about that. That is their position. In the meantime, though, the left has a backup plan. It's the same as it always has been: propaganda. Another demand of the Youth Climate Strike group is what they're calling, quote, comprehensive climate change education. They want it for children aged 5 to 14. 5 years old? Why so young? Well, because, and again, we're quoting here, impressionability is high during that developmental stage, end quote. In other words, brainwashing is easier when they're little. And there you have the modern left's climate agenda. No drinking straws, no automobiles, no airplanes, no meat, no democracy. In their place, endless propaganda and a parade of 15-year-old red guards yelling at you to stay in line. That's what they're promising. All of a sudden, the future really does look bleak, and it has nothing to do with rising temperatures.